I figured I would make a YouTube video today. I got kind of a I got kind of a complaint with Google. Uh, then we're gonna cover something about body work here that a lot of guys I had questions asked to me, and the orange jellyfish. Wow, the menace is here. Yes, he. I swear to God, he was in Hollywood in his other life. I don't know if that was his 10th life, the one that expired. Um, Google says about placing a free Google ad, and after that, there's all kinds of harassment that goes on. They want $100 out of me, which is not a lot of money, but it is right now this time of the year, and I had other bills to pay. But you don't really get a free Google ad. What you really get is free Google harassment. They're calling me every other day since last month. When I went on, I put the Rusty Truck Shop on. I put my ad in the magazine. Hey, that was all about I could afford, and this is really the only job I have right now. He's inspecting. You find a mouse, Mises to pieces. Don't get any on the truck. Um, so Google is basically harassing me. Instead of having a way, that you could pay the $100, then they tell, oh well, it's $249. Then if you call, if you don't do it now, it's like a high pressure. It's something that people don't appreciate is pressure. The one thing that people appreciate when you do business with them is being flexible, being laid back. I have customers here. I can't bully them into doing something. I love if the guy would do the rockers on this thing. Unfortunately, we are behind on this job. We had storms come through ever since Saturday, and the power's been going off and on. In my house, it's been like living inside a pinball machine. Even the whistles and bells, because the security system, after it's resetting or it's demanding that I have to do a forced reboot because it's knocking the security system out. Beep, boop, beep. Holy shit, and I got a tree down. I can't even, when I go to paint this thing, I can't even take it down there. I've got to remove the tree, so that's another little bit of a delay. So I just wanted to discuss it. I'm very, very dissatisfied. And if Google wasn't the only game in town, if there was another platform, I would probably do business with them because I really didn't appreciate their actions. Like I said, they should just give you a payment option that when you're ready. But basically, what they're trying to tell me, what this is about, is there's keywords like search words like rust or something if people are looking for something. I understand that, but I thought in the free Google listing they were asking all those things. No, that's an avenue of pursuit that they use to pursue you to spend more money. Instead of giving you a free ad with those keywords, I'm just a seasonal business. I'm not a high profile guy. I do rust work. I'm not a professional body shop here doing show cars. I have another place for that. Basically, here is where I do my dirt. As I said, I'm a fanatic about dirt. If you paint in a dirty environment, it gets all over everything. Not to mention, I have the floor covered where I can, if there's any overspray. A lot of this stuff is environmentally friendly now. It's not like the old days where it's extremely, extremely toxic. There used to be a lot of heavy metals in paints. Metal flake paints, there is a heavy metal danger, but even the VOCs and the chemicals are not what they are. Speaking of scratching the paint, the orange beast is on my mother's car. Orange cat, the Wicked Witch shows up and finds paw prints on that car. You're not going to have a tail, maybe even a head. Orange cat, he listens just like a 3-year-old. So, your best game in town, I think I have a light here because this may not show up. As I said, I am the worst cameraman. You're going to have areas like this when you go to do a job. It's grainy. And that's why we're on this side of the truck, because the other side's all done. You see, that needs another coat of fiberglass. A lot of guys try to shape it, and they get a shape like this, and they think they're done, and they sand it down, okay? Because this is not sanded, okay? I'm not going to sand this. I am going to take one of these wheels. I either use this, which, and we'll discuss that in a minute, the socket rail. He's got to be, do you think people want to see your butt That's what I use first, and then I fine tune it with the angle grinder with this flap disc. And do you think some genius, do you think I could find a metal socket stringer, okay, for impact sockets? They want to see the sockets, not your tail. Ay, 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 ay. As I said, this is like being with the third grade all day long. So anyway, you're not done. You take your edge. There's a heavy edge here. Take the edge off. Okay. Stuff in here. These body lines are extremely hard to get to. Okay. That's why you have the flap disc. And then I have a smaller air grinder that I can get in there, those areas. Okay. This is not finished. Okay. It's not shaped. The weather came in faster than I could deal with it. Okay. And when you're dealing with storms of the magnitude, I am being told by a guy that he's a weather watcher. I don't know, the cat's getting hair on my camera. He's a weather watcher, and he said we had 6 inches of rain the last 3 days. And I can believe it. That's why I have metal and rubber roofs. I'll never use another type of roof. If you're planning to put a roof on your house or your shop, don't buy shingles. Don't buy any garbage, lightweight, like that roofing that they have at Lowe's. It's garbage. It rusts. It kinks. It doesn't hold up to snow loads. I get the USX metal roofing, and they sell that under a couple different names. You really have to ask or investigate what you're buying. And don't take any recommendations. I'm years out of the business, but I used to be in the roofing business, the building business. And as I retired, like I said, when I got hurt over in Iraq, I wasn't going back to doing what I used to do. You see, my brain said yes, but my body, ending up in the hospital a couple dozen times, after that you kind of reconsider your position in life, and you stick to things that you're more capable of doing if you have talents. And that's why I wish, Google would be a little easier on a veteran instead of harassing me and say, hey, sure, here's a number. When you're ready, give us a call. What's wrong with doing that? Why be a ball buster? It's something like the mafia does, as far as I'm concerned, is we'll keep twisting your balls. We want the money now. Or how about a flex pay? $20 a month or something. But then you still got to be ready for it. And as the old saying goes, it's a cliche, it's worn out, but people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And anybody that's a sharp businessman, okay, they have to plan their moves, their expenses. And especially when you're just a seasonal business or a startup business even, okay, the economy's, Google and the foreigners maybe that operate it think that people in America are rolling in money. That's not the case. It's not the case. And as a matter of fact, it's very daunting and very insulting when people do act in that fashion, to think that you are basically loaded or lucrative. I stretch my money. I can barely pay my bills. Some I'm behind on. Not ashamed of it. It's the economy. Our Botox jellyfish there with the orange head. I think the Republicans are going to get the Republicans are going to get their asses handed to them in these midterms, because people aren't even going to have the money. People are pretty much disgusted that all he's doing is catering to these Jews, starting wars, and the American people can't pay their bills. You should see the prices of how ground beef went up, and they're shrewd. They cause these emergencies. They want to keep this country in an amazing state of panic and exigent circumstances that they can just rake in tens of millions of dollars. Our president did the wrong thing. He's being persuaded by Israel. And as I told you, well, how did Israel do it? You don't hear nothing about those Muppets that tried to shoot his head off, right? Epstein, pretty much, he's alive. No video of a body coming out of that cell. They got some video of a body somewhere, but it didn't come out of a cell. And magically, there's footage missing. It's edited. Probably use Google for editing it. But anyway, that's why I still smoke. It keeps me from choking assholes. And speaking of, you are going to get me to see me. Uncle Dutch is going to build what I call an asshole guard. I'm going to build a tube bumper on the back of this truck. As I said, as soon as this weather is done This weather has done enough. I'm surprised I don't have limbs down all over here or trees, but I haven't seen my dad's place and I have not heard from him. He told me that I should call him back. There is a tree down, he will let me know. I think he said it's an 80-foot oak tree, but he said he didn't know what other damage. He said he heard something go thump, but I heard something go thump the other night. Basically, it was a cat when the security system, the power was going off and on. We were more without the power during the day, like in the morning hours, and in the afternoon it would come back on a little bit. So you're not going to be doing work like this regardless. You're not going to do it in the rain. As I said, I basically cut this stuff apart because of the dirt here. Okay, if you have an option of pulling a vehicle out instead of doing that inside a building, let alone there's a fire risk of sparks and all that other stuff from cutting. Um, a vehicle, I've already seen guys hit a gas tank that's leaking the vent or something, and the sparks went in there. And I have another guy. He had actually lost his leg, not in the explosion. He was burned, and then 6 months later, I guess they were not the hospitals. They were back then. They were denying people health care. You know, they wanted money to treat people. At one time, it was another extortion racket they cooked up, Washington D.C. So he did not get the stuff that he needed to treat his leg. He got gangrene and eventually lost his leg. He's still lucky he's alive. And they had to take him to a hospital. And I want to say it's Sanders Hospital in Philadelphia. It was some oddball hospital. They amputated his leg. He was in there 8 weeks, and then he got like a $10,000 or $20,000 bill when he left, and then he got another one in the mail. His name was Rocky. He was an older guy. He used to be a painter, and his hobby was hot rods and auto body. And unfortunately, he was working in a building. Not to mention losing his leg, he lost his cars that were in the building. He lost the building, and basically, subsequently, he didn't last more than 3 or 4 years later after that. That's pretty devastating. He couldn't even clean up his own property. The township was on him because it was burned out. What are you going to do? People were shot. People are even worse shape now. So that's why I tell you, you don't cut stuff apart inside a building unless the gas tank's out of it and you don't have any other flammables. So that's my advice, and that is my Mortsky moment about things that can happen to you. Even if you think you're sharp, you watch what you do. I have fireproof blankets and stuff when I'm cutting. Maybe I should demonstrate some of my technique, or I'll tape off like the gas tank if I can, or I'll stick a plug in. I'll make sure that I'm not going to get any cumulative fumes where I'm going to have an accident like that. So thanks for listening to me about Google. Google could be a little more professional instead of trying to be like a high pressure car salesman. That doesn't sit well with people. As much as my appearances, I apologize for it sometimes. I try to get my point across, and maybe it's not the right way to be. Normally, when I'm with people, I'm a little more of a gentleman type of. But when people are deliberately doing dumb stuff, you know, hey, pay Google. Here's a bill. When you're ready, type in your keywords or whatever, or what we already have it, and you know, you just pay it. Why constantly call somebody when they say, hey, I don't got it right now? Right now, I just spent $80 at that's when Orange Cat was out here the other day. I came home when this heavy part of the storm started coming in. I thought we saw a duck going down there. Orange Cat's like, do I need glasses? Looked like a duck in a rowboat going down the driveway. I swear to God, we had a flow of water that deep going down my driveway. The street out there was flooded out. It was flooded in a lot of areas. And I'm not really hearing much we don't get much local news here anymore. All kinds of murders and shootings. Every now and then you hear about one. Sometimes you hear about murders and shootings that happened 2-3 years ago you had no idea that happened. But there's a trial at the courthouse and they mentioned the guy got convicted or some other shit about the case. Yes. I think he escaped from the science lab. I really do. Thanks for watching my videos. I've got to clean the paw prints off my mother's car before she shows up and hangs me and the cat. Thanks for watching my videos, guys.